Okay, so if anyone wants to shout at us if there is an echo going on,
Let us know.
that'd be great. Okay, so if anyone wants to shout at us if there is an echo going on,
Let us know.
that'd be great. Okay, so you are allowed to yell even if there isn't an echo, but please tell us if there is an echo happening.
You can yell every day, all day.
And as soon as the we know that there's no echo going on, we will start proper what it is that we want to do. Because we have a little bit more of a plan than we normally do. Not by much. Is the loop gone now? There's a loop here.
I don't hear an echo, but I am yelling at my apartment.
Hey, D Human. I don't think I've ever met you, D Human. Nice to meet you. A plan. We actually have one for once. Dead Pallet, are you sure?
Are you gonna do the hand thing?
Are you going to do the hand thing? What?
What hand thing?
Hand signs? We can do hand signs, but you won't see them.
We can talk in ASL, but you're not gonna hear us.
I can't talk in ASL.
Alright, I'll scream at you in ASL.
Alright, so I think our... the Dead Palace Jack-Off Corner. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't do Dead Palace Jack-Off Corner. We'll get arrested by the YouTube police.
Yeah, they'll come to our house.
Okay, so here's what we're doing. There is a story in the low bar. I recently uploaded a video explaining my thoughts and feelings and analysis on the story Hands by Unseen Wombat. It is a personal favorite of mine. It is one of my favorite episodes of Midnight Marinara that David has ever produced. And that video just went up, and it explained why I like the original story so much and why I like the version that David did for Midnight Marinara. So here's what we're going to do, God willing, hands back to back. What we're going to be doing is, Chelsea has never read this before.
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it some fucking how. We're going to play the analysis video for those. Actually, you know what?
Same way I never heard of The Simpsons until high school.
Yeah. How about we strike that, reverse it? We'll read it together and then we'll do the video. So we're going to stream the actual video that I made, even though it's up on YouTube, because I think it might be fun to have everyone around to chat about it. And then, first we're going to read the story.
Beth says, Dead Palette sensual, but publicly appropriate touching hour.
That's okay.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
All right. Well, let's start butchering the story, paragraph by paragraph.
All right, line by line.
Commentary on commentary on commentary. It'll be like that one time that Slime Beats responded to those assholes. That one time that it happened, because it's never happened.
The only one time.
Oh man. Okay. So also after we read this and then stream the video and chat over it, we'll probably spend a little bit of time. We'll find some bullshit story, read it, see if it can surprise us. Hands by Unseen Wombat. The worst thing I've ever done in my life happened about 12 years ago when I was 16 years old, when I was a 16-year-old kid living in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
No wonder.
Ohio.
No wonder the worst thing happened. He was living in Cleveland.
The worst thing that happened to me was
Cleveland itself.
was Cleveland itself and all of its guns. It's the Chicago of Ohio. It was the early fall. It was the early fall when the leaves were just starting to turn orange and the temperatures were starting to fall, hinting at the freezing chill that was only a few months away. School had only just started. It had been going on for about a month now. So all the excitement of going back to school and reuniting with old friends had been replaced by the realization that we were captives in a place that only wanted to load work upon us. Understandably, me and my friends were all eager to do anything that might remind us of the worry-free, responsibility-free days of summer. So far, what kind of themes are jumping out at you with this?
Cleveland, which automatically abandoned factories. Summer fading away, childhood going away, fall, autumn leaves, orange, yellows, and browns.
So what I really like about this is that the story definitely is about growing up and changing and loss of innocence and stuff like that. And even though it's a realistic story, they find these kind of romantic themes they put in. We need to go back to school. The carefreeness is gone. The leaves are turning. So they find that kind of imagery to shove in there, even though it's a realistic story. They find kind of
little ways to romance it.
Yeah.
Earlier that year, about the time the last school year had let out, one of my friends from work, McDonald's, which some people think is lame, but I always had a great time there, had taught me a technique to make yourself pass out with the help of an assistant. It works something like this. One person would rapidly take 10 deep, heavy breaths, and on the 10th, squeeze his eyes shut and hold his... there went the story. Where was I? And hold his breath as tightly as possible while crossing his wrists over his heart. The assistant would then give the person a huge bear hug from behind and squeeze the person's wrists into his breastbone. Within seconds, the person holding their breath would lose consciousness. The assistant was then in a perfect position to make sure you totally didn't collapse and crack your skull.
Just choke them so hard they poop themselves.
Yeah.
One person put a finger up their ass, that way they didn't poop out.
Right. Just put a wine cork up there. Make sure you totally didn't collapse and crack your skull upon the sidewalk. The effect only lasted for like a second or two. It wasn't like we were putting ourselves into comas or anything, but it felt like you had been out for hours and that your brain cells had died. And that when you came to, the disoriented feeling of not knowing where the hell you were and what you were doing there was awesome. Yeah, that sounds like something teenagers would do.
So have you ever played the pass out game?
No, I'm not.
Neither have I. I think...
Yeah, no.
I think that's something that they effectively got children to stop doing. It's just... Stop trying to kill yourself.
Dumb version of the Heimlich maneuver.
This really works, by the way.
Does it?
Yeah. Oh my God. I've never done it, but yes, this is something you can totally do.
Gotcha.
That is, not exaggerated.
Completely never heard of.
D-Human says that they did it, and I'm happy you're still here with us today. Hyperthermal. Like, why would you do this shit when you could just make out or Joe or play a video game or fucking anything? Yeah.
I mean, like, why would you do this when you could go skinny dipping?
It's super easy to get your hands on alcohol as an underage kid. Like, I don't...
Yeah. Then again, we also live in... Well, I mean, this is in Ohio, like...
Yeah. Wait until you're 21, then you can slowly deprive your brain of
oxygen slowly.
You can slowly deprive your brain of oxygen slowly. That way you talk like David Blaine and everything slows down.
Yeah. Even time itself slows.
I remember the pass out gang being a big thing in Silent Hill Shattered Memories. That was the first I'd heard of it.
Dehuman says, I played it once. It's terrifying. I did it for money.
Okay, yeah, I can see
How
that.
much money?
You know, it probably wouldn't need to be a whole lot of money when you're young.
Yeah, probably like $10.
I would say $10 is.
Yeah, that seems like the right amount.
But I was a very frugal child, and
I was not.
and I would be able to talk someone up to 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just be like, yeah, I'll do it for 5.
Now, I know some people are like, what the fuck, are you fucking retarded? And yeah, I know, we were probably killing about 1 million brain cells each time we would knock ourselves out. And I think my mom, what kind of Freudian slip is that? I think I probably,
I think probably my memory has suffered for it.
there we go.
Mm.
But to a bored as hell 16-year-old, I thought it was hella cool. So apparently this is Max from Life is Strange.
Yeah, apparently.
Chloe from Life is Strange, who's just like, everything's hella
cool.
All the effects of getting your lights punched out, but with none of the pain of getting hit in the face. I tell you to try it to see for yourself, but after what happened, I would never recommend it to anyone.
I really like this story so far.
Yeah, it's a good story. So I'm gonna
spoil. But they have yet to mention a cornfield.
It's Cleveland, which is like the least corn-filled place of Ohio.
That's true.
So I'm gonna spoil this story. He passes out, and they draw penises on his face.
Okay.
And then after that,
that's about what I would expect.
He never does it again. Sounds like it would be very painful to play the game. Doesn't sound fun at all. Says Destiny de Matti.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like fun, but
I would not try it, but I could. If there were idiots doing it, I would totally.
You would totally do it.
I would totally watch.
Oh, you would watch.
Oh my god! I
would draw it.
Okay.
All right. One interesting side effect of doing this, which was really most of the reason we did it, was that while you were out, you'd have extremely lucid, vivid dreams which you could always recall upon waking. After all, you were only asleep for 2 seconds. We were good kids and had never and would never try drugs. So to us, this was like a poor man's LSD.
So I like the logic here too.
Yeah, like we're good kids, and this isn't drugs.
It's the same like we need to stay virgin, so put it in my butt attitude.
Poophole loophole.
Poophole loophole. Yeah, this has got some poophole loophole going on.
Yeah, it does.
We're not doing drugs. We're just simulating the effects of drugs with way more disastrous effects than the drugs themselves.
Like, it probably would have been better for them to just buy a little bit of weed. Or oregano.
Yeah. The visions. These
visions, in some way, were usually related to what you were looking at right before you passed out. For example, I once dreamed that I was climbing a mountain, way up in the Himalayas or something, but there was a handrail there. Who the hell puts handrails at 20,000 feet? When I came to and remembered where I was, I realized I had been looking at the staircase at the corner of my girlfriend's living room. Another time, I had a vision of Fred Flintstone smiling and holding out his hand in front of a mural with the DARE logo. That's Drug Abuse Resistance Education, a program tops cops teach in public schools. You've probably seen the bumper stickers. I woke up and I saw that my friend Brett had been standing in front of me right before I slipped into Dreamland, and that logo was on his shirt. Where Fred Flintstone came from, I had no idea.
Oh my god, I love this paragraph so much.
This is a really good paragraph.
So this is kind of the crux of the story. This is where I think that this writer shows off their talent the most, in that they're finding a realistic scenario and they're finding ways to put in very vivid images.
Right.
I like that this person has that detail of they're up at 20,000 feet and they see a handrail, and then he wakes up and he's like, oh, that's where the hand. And it's also putting in a very important theme, which is Dare, which is awful.
And not useful. Doesn't actually stop kids from doing drugs, but you do get cool pencils from it. Color changing pencils.
That's
That was
debatable.
the main reason why anybody liked that program.
You know what's funny about the color changing pencils is those would only be entertaining to someone on acid. Okay, so they got the pencils going on, they got the dare going on, and that's a very important thing here. We would never do drugs, and they also did dare,
Right.
which sent them to do this, which way better for you to just drink beer than try and
Yeah.
knock yourself out.
Right.
Um,
Still a little bit of mom's vodka.
Because you want children to not do drugs. You want children to not drink. Give your 4-year-old a sip of beer.
Tell your 8-year-old, hey, try this Budweiser.
They'll never try beer again. That's how you do it. You don't need this. So there's that whole aspect of the story that I like, where it's ideologically consistent with me. But anyone who knows me knows me. I'm not a hound on ideology. I just like judging stories for what they are. The themes of that, though, of we'll get in trouble if we do that, thus we do something worse, is interesting to me.
Something that's worse that technically won't get us in trouble.
Yeah. The visions were always mundane things like those. Always, until that one day. Let's read some comments right here. Abysme, see, that doesn't work because I drank wine at the dinner table since age 9.
Yeah, but wine's different. Wine.
You know, that's
a very French thing to do.
But if you drink wine early in life, and it's not treated like it's a big thing,
then it's not a big thing.
Then it's not a big thing. Beer, on the other hand, is very, very bitter for a child to drink. But that's the thing too, is they have it in other countries where the drinking age is much lower, and that it's less enforced, and then it's less of a taboo, and then people are less interested.
Yeah, with France, it's okay for kids to drink wine, especially at dinner. Or in Japan, plum wine isn't really considered an alcoholic drink. Despite the fact that it gets me super drunk.
And that's what they do in France is, children are given their kids' meal, and their kids' meal comes with
little sippy cup of wine.
Little sippy cup of wine and a little baby cigar.
Yes.
I think it was free sunglasses one year. I have no idea what it was for the others. I'm assuming that we're talking about. I missed some of the chat, but I'm assuming that we're talking about
Dare.
Dare, yeah.
Oh, Beth never got the color changing pencils.
I'm sorry, Beth.
If I find one in my closet, I'll send it to you. I found one last year, and I had no idea where it came from. I guess I just held on to it since I was 8.
Do you remember when our friend Seth, there for a while, his online avatar was Leo the lion, the Dare mascot?
Yes, that was fantastic.
And he would just tell people to stop doing drugs while playing TF2.
Yeah. Oh, those were the good days of TF2.
Like I said, school had been going on for about a month, and we were already sick of it. We were hanging out one Saturday in the field, which was really an easement of the electric company to run their high voltage lines. A few of us were sitting on the metal beams at the bottom of one of the towers. My friend Mike was climbing up to the second tier of the beam so he could jump the 8 or 10 feet to the ground. I thought it was stupid, but hey, I'm the guy who thought it was cool to induce unconsciousness by starving my brain of oxygen.
Does he jump off wrong?
No, keep reading.
Okay. It was a warm day for October, but the light gray of the sky was slowly getting darker, and in Cleveland in October, that probably meant that before long, the temperature would soon drop from a comfortable 70 to about 50 in the course of a few minutes. and if we were really unlucky, an ice-cold rain would start to fall. The air was already damp and heavy, and we could hear the quiet buzzing of the high-tension wires above us.
I sure as hell didn't want to spend the last few moments of a pleasant Saturday afternoon watching this dumbass climb partway up the high-tension tower, jump down, complain about how that one killed his feet, only to climb up and do the same stupid thing over again.
Hey, let's make ourselves pass out, I said. By that time, it wasn't as much fun as it had been in the early summer when we first discovered it, but it was a hell of a lot better than what we were doing. Vince was up for it, and so was Richard, but Mike, the guy jumping off the tower, said, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Holy crap, you haven't been knocked out before? Vince asked. No, was the response. Mike had been at his mom's house all summer, so he hadn't been in on all the fun we'd been having.
Dude, you gotta try this. Watch, we'll show you.
Dude,
Dude.
you gotta try this. Watch, we'll show you.
Vince and I got off the tower, stood in the grass at the center, and I did the customary 10 deep breaths. I squeezed my eyes shut and held my breath so hard that if they hadn't been shut, they probably would have popped out of my head. Then I felt my friend clamp down on my arms in front of my chest, and suddenly, as if there were nothing more natural in the world, there was a giant lobster climbing around a lobster cage, and I was under the ocean with seaweed growing from the sandy bottom under my feet.
Oh,
that lobster!
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob lobster pants.
I like the lobster from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
The big,
yeah,
the muscle
yeah,
lobster.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's great.
And I put my hands up, singing
my
my
song.
song, far away. How many jokes can we get out of this? How many musical jokes can we get out of this story? I don't know.
I can try. Larry. His name was Larry.
Larry
The lobster.
Larry the lobster. Okay, there you go. Okay. Next thing I remember, I was awake and Vince and Richard were asking me, "Dude, what did you see? What did you dream?" The back of my head was killing me.
Fuck, did you let me fall? I wasn't really that heavy, but Vince was pretty weak. He just stood there looking guilty, and Richard told me he had. "What'd you see, though?" he asked. I rubbed my head and said it was a lobster, and it was pinching Vince's head off with its claws.
I turned to Mike, watching from the L-shaped beam above, and said, "See, it's fucking awesome." From the easement of the electrical company has an L-shaped bar. Y'all motherfuckers ever watch Bar Rescue? Because it is the best reality TV show in existence.
It's pretty good.
It's the only reality TV show that I like. Because it's just this guy yelling at people for running shitty bars.
Right.
And then making good bars. And then, like, updates later. And it's just like, yeah, they went back to being a shitty bar. Turns out that you need good management there.
It's the same reason why I like Kitchen Nightmares.
See, I don't enjoy Kitchen Nightmares because it's about food.
Although you might like Hotel Hell, which is also by Gordon Ramsay, just about hotels instead of food.
Oh my god, Abysme's talking about the Pyro Bar episode being depressing. Oh my god. Oh, it is so depressing.
I don't think you showed me that one.
There's a pirate episode where it's just these, like, unbelievable man-children not able to accept that their pirate-themed bar is not going to work where they're living.
Oh, jeez. That sounds sad.
Yeah. And he's just trying to, like, the guy who, like, runs the show named John Taffer is just like, this is just not going to work, and he's really trying to get through to them, and they're just like, but we're children.
No,
we're playing pirates.
Right.
Yeah, no sympathy for those guys. Hello, Rutger Williams. Oh, was that the number? $900,000 in debt.
Jesus Christ.
They moved it to Somalia, says Prassacor.
That probably would have been more successful.
Not those kinds of pirates. Could be. Your pirate themed bar is not going to work here in Somalia. Don't tell me to stop my dream.
Right.
Oh, where were we?
Let's see here. Whatever. I don't trust any of you enough. Oh, wait, no. I turned to Mike, watching from the
I
L-shaped
did
beams
that.
above.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. I don't trust any of you enough to do that shit to me.
Come on, man. You gotta try it. See, oh my god, the fucking dialogue in this is so perfect.
It's so good. It's so well written.
Because it's just like, let's not do drugs. And then they, like, make the peer pressure argument of doing drugs. Come on, man. You gotta try it. It's no more dangerous than what you're doing now. Why don't you just smoke a marijuana joint? I promise
Ride the white pony.
I promise I won't let you fall like this bitch did. See, there's edgelord dialogue where you're using bitch and stuff like that, and then there's couching it with we were 16-year-old idiots, you know?
Yeah. He squinted? He squirted.
Did I mention he was jacking off this whole time and he just finished?
Was jacking off on the L-shaped beams above. They really did it for him.
He was jacking off on the L-shaped bar.
Alright,
You wouldn't download a marijuana.
So the pass out game makes you shit and squirt yourself. Yes, apparently it does. Just need to put wine corks in both of those areas.
Depending on how hard in the head you get, you might shit out your penis and squirt out your butt. Ooh.
Oh, shit.
You wouldn't download a meth lab.
Oh.
Come on, guys. You gotta try it. Squirting back to back.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining, like, in gym class in elementary school, did they ever make you do those team building exercises where you hooked your arms around each other and you had to, like, all stand up at the same time?
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that, but, like, with squirting.
So you're saying they're all circled up,
They're all
holding
circled
holding each other's like taints, I guess,
No,
and they pick
like...
they pick each other up by the taints. What did you walk into? Indeed, wiggles it. Hello, Generific. Okay.
He squinted in the way people do when they're trying to decide if what they're thinking of doing is worth the risk or trouble. He jumped down one last time, got up and said, "Fine, once.
Once. I'll do one marijuana.
I'll do one marijuana puff."
And see, he's making the same justification that you make when you're trying
When
to
you're a
make...
teenager and you're like, well, I don't really want to do this, but all my friends are.
Well, that too, but like also like, yeah, I'll try cocaine once.
Oh my god, did you ever read, there was a Reddit user that tried heroin.
No. Is it like I tried heroin once
No, it's like, it starts off with him being like, hey, I'm gonna go try heroin because I don't believe people can actually get addicted to it. And then his whole account for 7 years is about how he fell into heroin addiction, like went homeless or something, and like slowly tried to recover from his heroin addiction, and it's really sad, actually.
Jesus. That's awful.
Yeah. It's like, if you ever want to try heroin, read his account.
Hey kids, don't do heroin.
Pass out instead.
Unless you have a really good connection.
Right?
Alright. If only he would have thought a little longer. Or just flatly refused. He repeated the 10 deep breaths, with me as the assistant to make sure he didn't fall. He held his breath, and I helped him slip into the other place. It's something that I've regretted ever since. That, and when I think back on all the things I wish I had done differently in my teenage years, girls I should have tried for, classes I should have tried harder in, all the things I should and shouldn't have done, putting him in that bear hug and squeezing him unconscious is the thing I most regret.
Aww.
So again, there, regret is an important thing thematically in horror, I think.
Mm.
Especially in this kind of stuff where you're telling it first person, so whoever it is clearly has not met a horror that has killed them.
Mm.
So they have to have some kind of regret because
Right.
they're recollecting. If you're telling it in first person and they're recollecting that. And in that regard, I think it's important that the things that you regret are important. And that's what he's doing. He's like, all these other regrets aren't as important as this regret.
Mm.
And I think that that's a valuable lesson to be taught through horror.
Yes, I agree.
So let's find out what he did, what the consequences of this were.
Gotcha. I felt the dead weight shift from his feet onto my chest. And he was a pretty big guy, but I made sure to let him down easy and not knock his head against the hard-packed earth. Just as I laid him in the grass, he came back. He woke up screaming.
Prassicore. He squinted in that way people do when they're Nicolas Cage.
He woke up with bird hair.
Oh, that's how that happens. And then D-Human says, girls, I should have tried harder in.
D-Human says, I thought she was gonna say, oh my god, did you try cocaine once?
Also, yes.
Yeah, also, yes. Haven't we all? We all live in Ohio.
He woke up screaming, fuck! Holy fuck, get the fuck away from me, you fucking fuck, get away, get away, he screamed as he leaped to his feet and flailed his arms around his head like a wacky waving inflatable flailing arm tube man.
Yeah, like the one in front of the church.
Like the one in front of the church that I'm still totally going to use as a cold open, but I'm going to say it now. We passed by this church where there is a wacky waving inflatable flailing arm tube man.
Yeah, to promote the church.
And then a crucifix behind him, and I just couldn't help but think how perfect it would be if they crucified the wacky waving inflatable flailing arm tube man.
It would be great.
He woke up screaming, not the bees,
Not the bees.
They're in my eyes. Okay.
Alright, after about 5 seconds, which is about twice the time it normally takes for a person to realize where they're at and remember what they were doing, he slowed down. Holy shit. Shit, holy shit. He was breathing heavily and grasping deep breaths and hunched over...
Back to back,
jerking off, over at the corner of the tower. It's a wonder that in his maddened state he didn't run right into the supports and knock himself out for real. But he just stood there, bent over at the waist, and then fell to his knees. With his back turned to us, he started rocking and wringing his wrists and muttering to himself.
Holy mother of fuck, said Vince. What the hell did you see? But Mike didn't answer. We approached him slowly. Got it. You ever, need a burp, but you can't burp, and then you just need a...
Ruger Williams, 2-man died person.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We approached him slowly, and as we drew near to him, we could hear him quietly sobbing. In our macho world, that was normally a crime punishable by death. But at this time, of course, we didn't say a word. I reached out a hand to his shoulder, but as soon as I touched him, a touch so tentative and light that he shouldn't have been able to have even feel it, he shrieked and jumped away, clanging his back onto the corner of the tower. He pressed up hard against it, staring at us with a look of terror in his eyes so real you'd think we were demons from the pit of hell.
Jeez, did he just suddenly get schizophrenia or something?
Maybe he got shot with a nail gun. No, yes. Let's see what happened.
All right. If ever in those few moments I thought that he was putting on to fuck with us, that look put all my doubts to rest. That and what happened afterwards, of course.
John McJohn. I tried.
That's a great name.
Yeah, I tried Jankum once, only to find out it was cyanide. I am dead now. Our holy mother of fuck was the church I went to when I was a kid. I love you guys.
You guys are the best.
Uh,
None of us said anything, but after about 10 minutes, Mike had calmed down enough that Richard was able to coax him to his feet and lead him back to his house. As I had suspected, the temperature had fallen like crazy in just a few minutes, and, just as I figured it would, the freezing cold drizzle started to fall. I told Vince I was gonna go home and I'd see him tomorrow. We'd always spend the evenings and rainy days playing Mortal Kombat on our SNES, but he didn't object.
are you a fake gamer girl? You called it an SNES instead of a SNES. That's always weird to me when people call it an SNES. It's like, no, it's a SNES.
It's a SNES to you?
Put a SNES in a SNES. Snizzing the SNES.
Yeah.
Miss Clinton, there's a snook in your SNES.
I heard someone the other day call Square Enix Squeenix.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's so weird to me. I've never heard that before.
I think that's a two best friends thing.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
I haven't heard them refer to it as that, but
no, actually, I've heard what's his name, Rossiter from Twin Perfect call Square Enix Squeenix.
okay.
But I do love it when they call him that. It's kind of like a joke thing though, where you're making fun of it.
Right. Well,
so
no,
ridiculous.
like the person I was talking to referred to them referred to Square Enix as Squeenix seriously.
Yeah, without thinking, that's great.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Was it a person in real life or online?
Real life.
Okay, that's amazing. So they weren't even thinking about it, and they were just like Squeenix, and you were like, what?
And I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alright, anyway. Yeah. But he didn't object. I think he probably wanted some time alone to reflect on what horrible thing we had done to our friend, just like I did.
Wiggles, Dare has done more to introduce suburb kids to drugs than any drug dealer in the ghetto ever did.
Yep.
Unbelievably, yes, it did. Because it's just like, oh my god, I gotta learn about all these drugs.
Yeah, gotta know which ones to do.
I love the loop that we have in the background. It's fucking ridiculous. Just
It's
keeps
great.
getting more and more bizarre.
I love it.
David Carradine played the pass out game. Now he's dead. That wasn't the pass out game. That was a different game. That's called ultra clenching.
Ultra. What?
Do you know how David Carradine died?
No.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh. The next day.
Good old autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah, we always call David Carradine Otto personally. Why did you call him that? Did you hear how he died? The next day I went to see how Mike was doing, but he and his dad were gone the whole day. I asked him later where he went, but he wouldn't tell me. I think it must have been to a psychiatrist because Tuesday, the next time I saw him, he seemed to be better, if a little zoned out. I figured he got some drugs to calm his nerves, but that's just a guess. I never really found out. Over the next few days, the four of us hung out, and while Mike was quiet, he didn't say anything about what had happened. Again, needing to phantom burps. We just talked about stupid, unimportant stuff. Girls we liked, our waifus, classes we hated in school.
Tracer's butt.
Tracer's
How we
butt
would
cup.
never touch it.
Just get so close. Just get so close. Just get so close. Not touch.
So close, but no touch. Hover hands.
I love the concept of leaving enough room for Jesus.
That Jesus side hug.
That's why I really like doggy style, because then Jesus doesn't need room.
Jesus
he
is
can.
between us.
No, you don't need room for doggy style. He can just take the mouth.
Just Eiffel Tower with Jesus.
Eiffel Tower with Jesus. Eiffel Tower with Jesus. We wish we had said something to him now. I wish we had said something to him now, though I don't know if it would really have helped. We had no idea what we were facing, and to this day, I still have no clue. But we avoided the subject of what happened that Saturday and the practice of passing out in general like it was the plague.
It wasn't until the following Saturday that he had said anything related to what had happened to him. We were walking down the quiet street of our neighborhood towards the wooden footbridge that crosses the creek that runs between the houses, separating the development into two halves. I was going on about this hot girl who was a grade above me and who consequently
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to let you struggle. Consequently.
Wouldn't give me the time of day, and he, staring at the ground, walked on with his hands in his pockets.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
It said hands.
It did.
In his pockets.
Suddenly.
He was playing pocket pool. I don't think Alan or David laughed when I said pocket pool in the Jeff the Killer reading, and I'm wondering if they don't know what pocket pool is.
I don't think they might not. Maybe that's an Ohio thing.
Friends in chat, please hello Hammer Bay. Friends in chat, please tell me whether you know what pocket pool is or not.
Yeah, let's do a vote.
I'm sure
if you don't know what it is, tell us what you think it might be.
Well, yes. It should be obvious, but
yeah, it should be.
I've met people where I said pocket pool and they're like, what? And I'm like, think about it, and they couldn't figure it out. So
yeah.
maybe it's not obvious.
It puzzles some people.
I don't know why.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, and right in the middle of one of my sentences, he says, I won't be around much longer.
Huh?
They'll be coming again tonight, and I don't think I'll be able to keep them out this time.
Hey, what are you talking about? Who's coming tonight?
Jazz hands! The hands, the voices. At this point, I was like, holy shit. And I could feel my breathing get quick and shallow, and I felt my face and hands get hot to hear him talk. So matter-of-factly, about some horror that I couldn't even imagine. But I'll never forget that conversation. It's etched into my mind like the stone tablets in the Ten Commandments. Oh, that's a good sentence. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is... It's really hard to break it down, but this uses the perfect amount of colorful language for it to seem realistic, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's... The way that he writes his more colorful lines is so filled with regret. Like, oh, this is you know, the 10 Commandments are things that you should never forget, and they're so important to being a Christian, you know, like,
right.
And that's the thing, it's like, and I have this regret, and this regret is etched into my mind just like, you know, a story from the Bible kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
it's etched into my mind like the way adultery is etched into Christianity.
Etched into the stone like the secret tablets of Joseph Smith.
Well done, Prazikor.
Thank you, Prazikor. Hello, Tormental. Okay.
All right.
I stammered a few times, and then said stupidly, "What hands?"
At night, when I look out at the tree out my window, then it goes black in the hands. Dozens. 1 dozen.
Dozens. A baker's dozen.
A baker's dozen.
Baker's dozens. Plural. Multiple baker's dozens.
They're all bakers and they have little hats on their little hands.
No, they have cooking sugar on their hands.
Yeah, they're playing patty cake.
Baker sugar.
Yes. Confectionery sugar?
Confectionery sugar, that's the term I was looking for.
Dozens, 100 of them push in against the glass.
Lukewarm ginger ale is a gateway drug to Mormonism. Oh my god. Guys, if you can go tell the Mormon church that I'm making fun of them, and then I can get the Mormon church to hate me.
We can send them a letter. Everyone send them letters saying Good Palate is making fun of them online.
Send them individually wrapped.
Send them postcards.
Send them individually wrapped cans of ginger ale with notes.
Or send them potatoes. Can't you send potatoes in the mail?
Can you? Oh.
I don't know. I think you can.
But that'd be a breaking of church and state if you can send potatoes, but you can't send cans of ginger ale. That's Mormon oppression.
That's Mormon oppression. I think the ginger ale has the chance of exploding, so you'd have to wrap it. But I don't think potatoes or bananas need wrapped.
I live in Utah, and I can walk right into their main fucking temple.
Give them a potato.
Here's a
Just
here's a rule I think we should have, Jonerific. You're not allowed to call your place of worship a temple if you're white.
Or not Jewish.
Or not, I guess Jews do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orthodox Jews or non, or I forget which one it is.
There's a wrestling joke, but I don't think there's enough people here that know about wrestling for me to make that wrestling joke. So we're gonna push on. What do you do?
I push back all night, but I'm tired and I can't keep them out anymore. And the voices say I have to let them in. Little kid voices and little kid hands. He lowered his voice to a whisper, but I could tell, in what he said next, that he was struggling to keep the panic at bay. Sometimes I see their faces, he said in a trembling voice.
I tried to keep them at bay, at Baker's Bay, Bahama.
I tried to do jazz hands with them, but they just won't fucking learn.
Temple of Mormon, the most difficult Zelda dungeon in the series so far.
Yes. Harder than the water temple.
Because the water temple is like, it's much easier to swim through, but when you're swimming through ginger ale, it's a little bit more viscous and you get tired easier.
Yeah, and then like you don't get the ginger ale suit.
Yeah,
until like halfway through the temple.
Well, you would think that the blue suit would allow you to go through ginger ale, but it's just water. You need the ginger ale collared tunic to get through, which is not green like the normal tunic that he wears. It's more like that off.
More like pea color.
It's more pea colory. Yeah. Who peed in my ginger ale?
Who peed in my ginger ale pool?
Pee. We had come to the walkway up to his house. He stopped and finally lifted his face to me. Tell Vince he can have my Super Nintendo. Tell Vince he can have my SNES. His mom won't let him buy one because she's a fake gamer girl. Richard can have my CDs. I know you guys don't like rap, but he does.
I started to say something, but he turned and walked up to his house. He went inside and closed the door. How I wish I would have gone up and knocked. Told him I would have stayed the night. But we were 16, and at that age, guys didn't do that anymore. So I went home, and I didn't even answer the door for Vince when he came over later. When I went to bed, I didn't sleep well, and I was constantly listening to every creak and moan that the house had made, listening for the voices of a multitude of children. I normally slept with the curtains open, but tonight I closed them tight.
Nighty-night.
Made a little pocket pussy out of them.
What?
Because he closed them tight.
That's not... You can't... This lesbian here doesn't understand how penises work.
No, I don't.
It's a miracle every time you make me come.
Jesus is smiling upon you every time. Floaty whack-a-pool.
That's what happens is Mormon Jesus is like, you have prevented this lesbian from a path of lesbianism. We will grant her
path of sin.
We will grant her the ability to make you orgasm.
Somehow magically.
Ooh. Things got personal. A curtain pussy. Every orgasm is a miracle in my book. Okay. The next day, and Chelsea's still laughing.
Sorry.
It's just Vince McMahon voice. I'll take your SNES. Hell, I'll take everything. I'm Vince McMahon, goddammit. Man, I'm afraid, Dalton, I don't have a very good Vince McMahon. I really wish I had a good Vince McMahon. I have. You know what? I'm gonna read this next opening, the next sentence of this,
As,
as
as, Vic's,
as Vic McMahon, as Vince McMahon. The next day, we learned someone had broken into Mike's house.
oh, jeez.
Now I'm gonna do my Vince Russo. A police car was in his driveway, and I was about to shit a brick when I saw it. Later, the worst fears were confirmed when I learned that Mike's bedroom window had been broken into. He was missing, was all they told us. The cops asked all three of us a ton of questions, and people from the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, came and asked us more. I'm sure I looked guilty as shit, but when I said I didn't know what happened, it was, after all, halfway true. They were looking for some pervert that had abducted Mike, so no matter how hard they grilled me, they couldn't get any information relating to that, of course, so finally they gave up. He was on milk cartons and missing children's TV shows, but to this day, he's still an unsolved case. In that dead air.
Yep, in that dead air. After it was all over, I went to the library to research what the fuck happened, because in those days, while the internet was a research tool, it was only for rocket scientists or people who could afford a $5,000 computer. I didn't find much. The closest thing I think is related is something I only discovered later in my junior class on world history. Apparently, Egyptian priests used to seal themselves in coffins for just long enough a time to almost die. They would then be resuscitated. You
fucking what's that in the sky? Oh, it's the Mr. Illiterate symbol.
I'm sorry, my brain is still on our previous conversation.
Of Mormon Jesus giving you the power of a straight woman.
Yeah, that's my superpower.
That's what you need to do. Every time you're like jacking me off, you need to stand up like you're Shazam, the little boy Shazam, and you're like, Mormon Jesus! And lightning strikes your hand.
It just passes over to your junk. Alright, let's get back to this. Alright. Resuscitated so that they could relate the things they saw in the netherworld while dead to the other priests. I can only figure that perhaps in the electricity in the air or the weather made Mike go under deeper than we ever had, and gave him an experience something like what the Egyptian priests had done. But Vince knocked me out too, in almost the same spot where Mike was standing when I did it to him. Could he have just been more receptive to the call of that other place, or had knocking my head on the ground somehow jostled me free of their hold? I don't know, and I don't think I ever will. But sometimes it still makes me shiver.
So what do you think, this being your first time reading this one, what do you think of this ending?
I love it. It's fantastic.
It's pretty solid. Anytime, if you're writing a creepypasta, and your ending is, I don't know, I don't think I will ever know, and sometimes it still makes me shiver, then that's perfectly fine. Find a million different ways to rewrite that exact sentiment, those senses, because that's perfect.
Yeah.
I love the concept of them, just like the Egyptian priest used that, and then these idiots
accidentally stumble upon it
3,000 years later.
Right.
Fucking dicking around with it. Okay. If anyone has, I think if you want to watch the video in upon itself, you can do that after the live stream. I share all of my thoughts on this wonderful story there. If you want to hear the story narrated in a very nice way, you can go listen to episode 10 of Midnight Marinara, Hands. You can find it on YouTube.
Should we add a link to that after this
Um,
goes up?
if they find my video, which is right next to this one, then there's a link there. So.
Okay.
And if anyone else has a suggestion for what we could possibly be reading now, doesn't matter what, maybe something a little goofy, something fun, we could read that. Otherwise,
Maybe some fan fiction.
some fan fiction, some pan fiction. Let's read some comments while we wait for some comments to roll in.
All right.
Some comments from the Hands thing. Creepy felt a little rushed at the end. A part 2 would be awesome. This person fundamentally misunderstands what realist horror on the internet should be.
Yeah.
Google creepypasta. The Killer minus Jeff and Jane. No, thank you. I think I've purged my desire to read any Jeff the Killer stuff for...
I still haven't read Slimebeast's submission.
Yeah, because it was supposed to go up Saturday. I don't know what happened, but I guess it'll probably go up tomorrow
Okay.
when we read Slime Beast's version on Undercooked Analysis.
Gotcha.
But man, that was an adventure. Read the Mormon Bible. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get cracking on that, I guess.
We're doing this now, so fuck you. Fuck you for suggesting this. We're doing it. Book of Mormon
Musical.
online.
Tickets.
We're not.
Just start reading the play.
We're going to read the first book of Nephi.
Is it Nephi or Nephi?
Nephi.
Nephi?
Uh,
Nephi.
according to accounts of Nephi and his wife Sharia, Saria, and his 4 sons, being called, beginning at eldest, Canada Dry, Verner's, and 2 other kinds of ginger ale.
Not the Book of Mormon. The Mormon Bible.
Then that starts with the normal Bible, and everyone's read the Old Testament, and the Old Testament's boring as shit.
I don't know. It's full of death.
Read Dianetics. We could read Dianetics, which is the second coming of it's cyber Mormonism.
Cyber Mormon.
Oh.
Fact: Mormons believe there is only one Eskimo at any given time.
You know, I'm not entirely sure if he's joking or not.
It's impossible to tell, really.
It is.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Aren't you Jewish? Who's
Who's
to
to
say?
say?
Yes. The Old Testament has slavery, genocide, floods, and rape.
And people being turned to salt.
It's written in a boring
Good
manner.
times.
You know what else has all of those things of Isme? Edgelord creepypastas. Doesn't mean that they're entertaining. Mormonism plus space battles. It really is. It really is. Nephi in the club.
Give me $20.
And so Ron Brown said to Nephi, "There shall be no wifing in the club. Give me 20 rupees."
Isn't that India?
Yeah, the book. I don't know.
Is the Book of Mormons only from India?
Could be.
Could be. Who's to say?
Who's to say? No, there's a new book of Jorman, and it's just as ridiculous. It's like, no. The Israelites were in India.
They were in India the whole time.
Beth, I found a thing on Troll Pasta Wiki called Michael Leroy
Leroy Jenkins.
a Slime Beast issue. Is this a thing?
Let's give it a look-see. Certainly can't be as boring as the first book of Nefertiti.
Okay.
Bonehead.
All right. You know what? Let's go for this. You may have heard of YouTuber Michael Leroy. You probably assume he's just an average Brit.
You okay?
Burping. Reading stories and making the movies. The ultimate England bros or whatever. But I'm here to shatter those thoughts.
I was acquainted with Jacob, although he didn't give me that much thought. I was walking down a track on day, and I saw a small house labeled Interns Welcome. I happened to be one at Cartoon Network, and I had just left from a meeting with all the directors. So I strolled right up to that thing. There was some weird crap in there. Weird being spelled wrong. I saw what looked like a party. The party was a sped-up, reversed, extended, distorted version of the bad creepypasta theme. I saw 3 gentlemen. One was slightly whiter than all the others and was wearing a giant yellow head with a crudely drawn smiley face on it. His shirt said, "Smiley for life." Another was quite tall, with his skin pure white, with a leprechaun outfit that was too small for him. He was also holding a bottle of Jack. Daniel shouting, "Have you seen my lucky pot of gold, eh?"
The other was a ubiquitous bridge designed as a 13-year-old boy. He had a white face with emo hair and a parents suck wristband. I noticed that they had a Pringle crumb. They all had Pringle crumbs on the sides of their mouths. I said, "Lol's a YouTuber that suicides PewDiePie fans." The 13-year-old said, "So, I knew it was us. Your initiation is almost complete. Come with us." What?
This is weird. I love how under the tags it says random capitalization.
A giant black hallway appeared on the back wall. The 3 of us walked through it and said, "You know what you must do. Open the door, get on the floor, everyone walk the dinosaur." Oh god, it's actually longer. Thought it was going to be a stupid...
Yeah, I thought it was going to end there.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect ending. The door opened up to Sega World of Sydney. This must have been their HQ. They sat down on 3 aligned pedestals. "Your first job," said Jacob, "is eliminating Slime Beast. We will accompany you, mate. Take this crumpet to defend yourself." He handed it to me. I wondered how a crumpet could even stand up to a beast of such a slimitude.
Well, you use it for crumpet dashing.
Yeah. I shrugged it off and started on my way to the slime castle. It took almost an English day, about 60 times as long as an American day, to get there. Once we did, we had to pass a giant door labeled "Type in Slime Beast" as the name of a new door to unlock Slime Beast. We made a door donning the title Slime Beast. It unlocked immediately. Inside we passed the lava, or blood, the angry Waluigi, and the negative Mickey Mouse. But the Mickey was walking totally inconceivably based on what I know about direction.
Interesting. We eventually reached Slime Beast's throne room. He was writing a story called "The Evil Diabolical Gauntlet of Electronic Dejection? Dejection. Oh my god, Brandon. Oh my fucking god. Dejection and depravity. He said, "Hey you, I think, what...
Hey you, Billy Mays here.
What you think you're doing around these parts? This is where good authors go," he responded, throwing a fit, saying all of his stories were intended to be jokes. We started our planned ritual. Jacob, Toby, and Matt quietly chanted Redrum... what's Redrum is murder backwards, but what's...
John Murder.
Oh, okay, John, okay. As I approached him with my book, He did not see the title until I was right next to him. I shoved it in front of him. He gasped as he said dictionary printed on the cover. As he saw dictionary printed on the cover, he screeched as he faded away. I put a crumpet into his mouth to stop his screeching. The trio slowly stopped chanting and said, "Well done."
Anyway, afterwards we went to the secret awesome fort. It was called the Order of the British Aristocrats. The trio were joined by John Lennon, Creepy McPasta, Winston Churchill, Jack Nicholson acting as a shark, and some guy who cleans chimneys. They all said together, "Listen up, mate, you have won the mission."
Your British accent is fucking terrible. Let me
I'm
do
not
this.
even trying to be British. I'm trying to be like...
Listen up, mate. You have won the mission, and you are our newest aristocrat of Britain, mate. What's your name, bloke?
That did not sound British at all.
That's the joke.
Yeah, that is the joke. Matthew Dracula, mate.
Good name, Bobby. What's your being of choice?
An illusion, bloke. That is an enemy inside the mind, mates.
Very well. You are one, mate. You are all. Welcome to the aristocrats, bloke.
Welcome, MD Phasm.
Oh, that's the fat ass who was getting pissed at me. Oh my god, he was during this whole like debate between Slime Beast and him. I responded to someone's comment and he was like doing all of this like really horrible like kill yourself stuff. He got super butthurt. It was amazing. Oh boy. He was like, "You must not have any friends." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is like this is the most 101 I'm mad and really need to like I can't think of anything clever to say." It's
Right.
like, "I bet you don't have any friends with how you don't like this one person that I like." Oh boy. Well, that was interesting for a lark.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, and Slime Beast shows up, yeah, in the comments. There he is with his red face, with his happy face. Don't disparage an author who both pokes fun at and is overly wordy and not know what a dictionary is. Hyperthermal says, "Kill yourself." KYS means kiss your significant other. Yeah, there you go. Well, that was definitely a no sleep quality story. I don't know. You up for another one?
Yeah, let's do another one.
Okay. Let's. If anyone has a story to send to us, go for it. Yeah. If anyone doesn't know, and maybe some people don't, those bad creepypasta people are fucking assholes, and
Okay.
they go into stories wanting to hate a story. Meanwhile, the way that we on Undercooked Analysis look at stories is we look at this blue story and we're like, "Oh, this is going to be garbage," and then I'm like, "Holy shit, a story based off Blue by Eiffel 65 is
Right.
actually good. Oh my god, I'm happy because my preconceived notions were challenged."
Prasicor says, "Do something with dinosaurs." Hypothermal says, "Do the no sleep game." Generific says, "The pizza that eats you."
Pizza that eats you. I don't know. Okay.
The pizza that eats ya.
I guess the pizza that eats you, it is.
How to eat pizza in 7 steps.
I'm not.
Pizza recipes by Alton Brown. Slenderman orders pizza. The Pizza Man. People who eat pizza every day.
I am not finding the story for some reason.
Send it to us I searched no sleep, the pizza that eats you.
Okay, no sleep. It's on no sleep.
When you need sleep, but pizza is good. Maybe try Google.
Hey, shut up. I love Bing.
I know you love Bing because it's the best for porn, but...
Guys, I don't know if you know, but Bing is really good for porn. Pizza that eats you.
Generific says, oh yeah, use Google, you nerd.
Yeah, while we're waiting. German Shepherd, Hitler dog. German Shepherd, Hitler dog. German Shepherd, Hitler dog. German Shepherd.
Says, holy shit, DP, it's the first results. Oh, it has a tree.
Dogger.
Best dog.
Oh boy, this is some length, quite a bit of girth as well.
It's alright, we'll get through it.
And then
This will be the last story, I think.
yeah, and then right as we find it, Generific is like, here it is on Skype.
Here you go.
So two plugs before we read the story. One is if you what's
Tormento, when you have your volume way up for quiet asses. So
what? When you have your oh yeah, okay.
Rip speakers. They do the Hitler dog. Yeah, this is gonna be the last story because I need to go home and eat tacos.
Okay, so no more German Shepherd Hitler dog. No more German
Shepherd Hitler dog. German Shepherd Hitler dog. Okay, what are your plugs?
My plugs are, if you like deep analysis of video games, go check out Soberdoor's channel. Right now he's doing a Patreon drive to try and get up enough money to where he can continue to not need to work and just make videos full time, which is very helpful. His videos are well worth a look. I would either recommend his video on he's got a 2-part video on Resident Evil that I am in. I made half of it, and it's got some good production quality. I really enjoyed making that with him. And other things he's done like Dark Souls, he's done Shadow of the Colossus.
Which that one was really good.
Tons of good stuff to check out on there.
And I say that as someone who's bought all versions of Shadow of the Colossus thus so far.
Yes. And then my other plug was, I guess, give me money. Give me the monies and I will read your creepy stories.
Give him your $20.
No wifing in the club. Why is it upside down? Ask Hugh Faulkner. I do not know.
We couldn't figure out how to flip it right side up.
Well, I could just re-render the video, but then
I
the dog
thought that
isn't.
was just something that like Split Screen did for some reason, and we couldn't figure out why it did it.
Yeah, I don't know why XSplit does what it does.
XSplit, whatever the fuck it's called.
You know what? We could read The Pizza to Eat You, or we could read Slenderman Orders a Pizza.
All right, how about we read The Pizza That Eats You, then Slenderman orders pizza, and then I go home and I eat tacos. All right, sound like a plan?
The Dog That Lives on the Ceiling, best creepypasta of 2016. Okay. Hi, my name is Thomas Walton, and if I told you a number 12 double bacon cheeseburger, hold the tomatoes, with medium fry and Coke saved my life, you'd probably think I was exaggerating. I'm not.
That sounds delicious.
I need a number 9.
A number 9 large.
Number 6 with extra dip.
And come to think of it, I guess this whole ordeal started with that bacon cheeseburger. Because I ordered it from the Burger Queen drive-thru the night that I went to that stupid party. Sweet heaven, the party.
Michael Harrington, wasn't what I would call a friend. But I was familiar with a guy from our high school. He was a senior, and I was only a junior, so naturally I looked up to him. I wasn't used to getting invites to parties. I didn't even like parties. But Mike's parents were going to be cut.
We're going to be cut out of the story.
We're going to be out of town for the upcoming weekend, and he was sure to take advantage of it. Mike was the type to. Mike wasn't the type to let an opportunity like that slide. He invited all of the upperclassmen to this big event at his house, which was to begin at 7 o'clock on Monday night and last, as long as you can still stand.
Mike sounds like my sister.
You want to tell some stories about your sister?
Yes, I want to tell some stories about my drunk sister. So, my sister, growing up, loved to party. She would sneak out of the house because she would assume that I would tell on her, when really I would have just let her go. Like, she didn't have to jump out the window and land in the bushes to go to a fucking party. She could have just walked out the front door.
Are we talking about at your current house?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. That's stupid.
My sister is book smart, but she's not very smart otherwise. But yeah, that does sound like a lesbian Burger King. But anyway, one time, her and her friend, I want to say it was Carly. Like, this is my favorite one because it's the stupidest one. Well, should I tell like 2 or 3 or just one? Like my top 2 favorites?
I would say top 2 favorites.
All right. So my sister and her friend Carly went to this party. I think she was a freshman in college, so she still wasn't technically legal quite yet.
She was not legal to drink.
Not legal to
drink.
She
was legal in other ways.
Yeah, she was legal in other ways. She could buy porn.
And be in it.
And technically be in it, I guess, if that's what you're into. But, like, her and Carly went to this party. And, of course, the cops get called because it's too loud. So, her, Carly, and this drunk stoner guy.
iCarly.
Yeah, iCarly.
So, did I mention that Chelsea's sister is Sam Puckett?
Basically.
After the events of iCarly, she got taken into foster care because her mother is abusive. And then Chelsea's parents adopted her.
And then they put her in my mom's stomach and then C-sectioned her back out. Anyway. So, Carly Raven, and yeah, she is the dumbest smart person, and this random stoner drunk guy, and he's important to the story, he was kind of tall, started running across the backyards, and, like, they hopped some small fences, and, they came to this really tall fence, and, like, they could still hear the police sirens, so tall guy just skedaddles, leaving my sister and Carly to face this really tall fence that they're too drunk to realize that they could just run to the other side of the yard and jump over the other fence, which is what the weed guy did. So Carly, who is also kind of tall, gets Raven on her shoulders, and Raven hops over the fence with ease. Carly, on the other hand, tries to hop the fence, and her shorts get stuck at the top of the fence. And Raven is like, okay, stand on my shoulders and get out of your shorts, and we'll run home. So Carly stands on Raven's shoulders, and instead of just unhooking her shorts, climbs out of her shorts and pulls her back to the car. And my other favorite story happened more recently in New Orleans when my sister's current boyfriend took her to New Orleans. They spent like 24 hours flying because like their plane got laid over and then the other one wouldn't start, and so Raven hadn't really eaten all day, and she gets really bitchy when she doesn't eat. And she eats a lot because she's a black hole that never gains weight.
That's racist.
She weighs like 105, and she's like, well, I need to lose 6 pounds so I can be back at 99 pounds, and it's like, you're non-existent at this point. So Brian takes Raven to New Orleans, and the first thing they do when they get in is they decide to go to Bourbon Street, get a drink, and then, like, go get food, which really is not the order they should have done things in. They should have went and gotten food first. Because they went to the bar. Raven had like 2 or 3 beers, from what I understand. And then she, and then, like, she can't find her credit card. And so she starts arguing and is about ready to jump over the counter and fight with the bartender over her credit card. And, like, the counter is this tiny counter, so that
It's an L-shaped bar.
It's an L-shaped bar. It's like this tiny counter, so there's not a lot of space in between them. And the bouncer come over, and he's just like, "Hey, sir, you need to get your girlfriend out of here. Like, she should not be in here. She's causing a ruckus. You know, our bartender is now upset." Oh, sorry. Our bartender is now upset. And so Brian grabs Raven, and he just kind of drags her out. And, like, 5 minutes later, he notices Raven's kind of dragging behind him. And he turns around, and Raven's just holding her credit card. He's like, "Where did you find that?" And Raven's like, "I found it in my pocket."
And, as everyone in the chat has already pointed out, that's so Raven.
That's so Raven. Which, if you didn't notice, my name is Chelsea. Chelsea and Raven. The 2 main characters of that show.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Chelsea was the name of the best friend.
I did not know that was the name of the best friend.
Yeah.
That's horrific. We're confusing everyone with our canon of Disney Channel stuff. It's like, wait, is this Sam Puckett? Sam Puckett is Raven?
Sam Puckett is Raven? Raven from Teen Titans, right?
Oh, man.
Anyway, that should give you an idea of my sister. And apparently Mike.
Okay. To be honest, I wanted to go. Mainly because I thought it would be fun, and I needed to get out of the house, socialize. Riley Springfield was my best friend, so I texted her about it. She was hesitant to go at first, but with a little persuading, she seemed to comply.
Tormental says, Chelsea's lucky her name wasn't Nevermore. Actually, my sister wasn't based off of the Edgar Allan Poe story. She was based off of, like, my mom sold a box of hair dye that was called Raven Black Hair, and that's where Raven's name comes from.
It's amazing, too, that, like, the preppy girl gets named Raven, and then the, like, more goth dark girl that ends up making horror art is named Chelsea.
It's pretty great.
Your voice even kind of has, like, that little bit of raspiness like Raven does. It's fucking ridiculous.
Anyway, back to the story.
Lamest way to get a name like that. Your sister's name is Raven Blackhair. Yeah, it's short for Raven Blackhair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's the perfect name for, like, a joke.
Yes.
Edgelord character. It's like, I'm Raven Blackhair.
Raven Blackhair. And this is how I fell in love with Lord Voldemort's forbidden child. Who is also me.
Also, I'm Draco Malfoy also. Then she saw a box of Chelsea brand stomach reliever.
Oh, she overheard a conversation between these 2 women about the Chelsea grin, or the Chelsea smile, I forget which one, and she was like, "Oh, that's a pretty name."
And then Chelsea's like, "You want to know how I got my name?"
You want to know how I got my name? Alright, where were we? I completely lost track. And that's where the bacon cheeseburger comes in. Because I stopped by the local Burger Queen Monday night at approximately 6:30 p.m., ordered my number 12, and headed to Allison's house to pick her up. Riley's parents... I was about to say pirates.
This is why I didn't want to read this one. Because it's way too fucking long for us to take it seriously.
Alright, Riley's parents would never agree to this. She climbed out her bedroom window and scurried to the passenger seat with a jacket in her arms. Did she land in the bushes, though?
Woof, they know if you're gone. I choked through a mouthful of cheeseburger as Riley buckled herself in.
I hope you're not planning to stay long, because I need to be back here before they notice anything's up. I locked the door and left music playing, but that won't hold them for long, said Riley, and chew with your mouth shut for once.
No, I won't do that. By the time we pulled up to Mike's house, the place was already packed. Cars were lined up so far down the street that it was hard to find a place to park. Parallel parking was never my speciality, but I did a sloppy job of it about 3 houses down.
Mike's house was a total nightlight. A rainbow of light strobed through the first floor windows, and I could hear the beat of some electronic song from the sidewalk. When I rang the doorbell, I was surprised anyone on the inside could hear it. Mike opened the door, and a rush of crappy dubstep nearly blew me backwards.
Walton, Springfield, right on. The shouts were right in my face, but I could barely hear them. Mike bobbed his head to the beat, held the door open for us. He was clearly drunk, or at least heading that direction. We shuffled past him into the blinding strobe of rainbow. The music enveloped me like a blanket. I could feel it in my bones.
Milling about the living room were several people I recognized from school, and some I didn't know at all. Lots of them were holding red plastic cups that I assumed weren't filled with Coke. Actually, they said plastic red cups. A guy I recognized from the senior class approached us. Hey, you're Riley, right? Riley nodded.
That's weird that they call them red plastic cups instead of solo cups.
I mean, you would think that they would say solo cups or red plastic cups, but plastic red cups? That order is weird to me. They were filled with ginger ale.
They were filled with... I felt like throwing that in there because I can.
Breaking people's eardrums.
Just got to make sure everyone's awake.
Yeah, us included.
No sleep.
No sleep.
I'm Todd. He smiled at her, nodding in the direction of some people in the house party. Why don't you come hang out with us?
Riley looked at me, shrugged. I shrugged back, a little more rarely. Then this dude put his arm around her and they walked off towards a hallway, and I just kind of stood there watching like an idiot. Tom aimed a look over his shoulder and winked at me, and then they were gone.
I'm gonna fuck her right in her vagina.
Right in her vagina.
I'm gonna fill her pussy with gag. I opened...
No, fill her armpit with gag.
Gotta make sure that's tight. Don't want no gag slack. I found an open spot to sit. It was a small square of couch right next to this couple making out. Then I started to wonder why I bothered coming here at the first place. The next 1 or 2 hours passed in a blur. The next thing I knew, the doorbell rang, the music lowered, and the living room lights turned on, and Mike
And Mike stood
on top of a coffee table and announced, "Pizza's here."
Everyone cheered. On any other occasion, I would have been just as thrilled. But I was far from hungry, as a number 12 double bacon cheeseburger can make ya. So now I thank the stars that was the case.
There was a huddled crowd around Mike as he pulled open the door, but no one was standing in the doorway. Not a soul. The explosive noise in the room tapered to chatter. My eyes drifted down to the front porch, where a large stack of tin pizza boxes had seemingly appeared out of thin air. To this day, I believe that it's the only plausible explanation. Mike slowly replaced his wallet. Replaced his. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Mike slowly replaced his wallet into his back pocket, shrugged, and hunched to grab the stack.
There's a lot of shrugging.
They are high schoolers?
I'm assuming they're high schoolers.
High schoolers do like shrugging.
They do like shrugging, and when
and
we
Christian
were in
side
high
hugs.
school, they really liked those red Solo cups. Before they were expensive due to that song.
Is there a song about solo?
Red Solo cup, I'll fill you up.
Is that what?
Yeah, you haven't heard that song?
That sounds like a
That was literally the song that played on my phone every time Raven would text or call me for like 2 years.
that's the sound of like that sounds like a song from the 1920s, like a rockabilly song. Red Solo cup, I'll fill you up.
Let's have a party.
That's like a goddamn flapper song. Oh no!
It's the worst country song to ever exist, says Generific. Yeah, that's why I set it to my sister's ringtone.
Oh boy.
Whew.
Okay.
Oof. Humph.
Let's get back to our hunching and shrugging.
There was a huddled crowd.
Right here.
Oh, yes, you are correct. That evening, those pizzas were transported to Mike's kitchen, where approximately 6 pizza boxes were emptied straight away as everyone grabbed a slice. Or, 2 or 3. Made a pizza slice sandwich. Riley and Todd stumbled into the kitchen looking
Disheveled. Oh my god.
Disheveled. God, I'm hungry. Disheveled and drunk. Riley let go of his arm and came over to me. Hey, Thomas. How you been holding up? She slurred. It's weird to me that they, really wrote the accent for when he was eating the burger. But, for this part, all they did was take a space from in between 2 words.
Yeah. Gee, Riley, are you drunk? Listen, I think we should go get you home. You need to be back soon, remember?
She blinked sheepishly, so that each eye winked independently. I can stay here all night, buddy. Oh, is that pizza? Good, because I'm starving. If I could turn back time.
Oh my god.
If I could find a way.
Oh, we both went there.
Yeah.
If I could turn back time, I would have stopped her right then and there. Stopped her from grabbing 2 slices of that stuff. I would have grabbed her wrist and yanked her back into my car and gone away forever.
My first clue.
Driving like in Arizona.
Driving in Arizona. Until the gas ran out, and we ran out of water, and we died in the desert.
Pizzaless.
My first clue that anything was off should have been that the pizza box, the face of which was predominantly displayed, Silly's Pizza, which I've never heard of in my life. I've never seen a Silly's building or eaten its wretched pizza before. In the following weeks and months, I searched for that name in so many phone books.
Looking at the phone books and phone booths.
Yes, only in phone booths though. That I drove myself insane. But at that time, I just ignored it and watched everyone mill about, munching their pizza, content with my number 12. And you know what? Nothing bad happened. At least not then.
Number 9. At midnight, around midnight, I had given up any hope of leaving. A few people had left by that point, but most of them were still there, passed out, or else too drunk to move. Riley was asleep and on the other side of the living room, face down on the floor, a puddle of drool spreading from her mouth. Even Mike was asleep in a recliner armchair. And eventually I, too, fell asleep, floating into nightmares about what my parents would say when I finally returned home the next day.
It wasn't until the next morning that all hell broke loose. I woke up to a blood-curdling shriek. Everyone did. We sat up simultaneously and looked towards the source of the noise, the kitchen. Riley threw a hand to her head and then staggered to her feet looking like she had the world's worst hangover. Mike and I were the first to enter the kitchen, and everyone else slowly filtered in behind us.
The girl who had screamed was named Candace O'Donnell, a blonde girl from my chemistry class. She was aiming a finger at the kitchen table and realized with horror, which I realized with horror was covered in something disgusting.
On the table, where there had been last night an ordinary supreme pizza left untouched by the party guests, there was a huge mound of sticky yellow and red goop.
Goop!
Scattered about it were mushrooms, pepperonis, bits of hamburger. Tendrils of cheese dripped off the edge of the table and reached for the ground. Steam seemed to be rising from the goop. The cheese bubbled as if it was boiling hot. It oozed grease like sweat. But that wasn't what bothered me. The stuff seemed to be breathing, ever so slightly. It expanded and withdrew, as if it were alive.
After Candace's initial scream, the place was stark quiet. There must have been 10 of us in the kitchen, but no one said a word. We all just stared. Mike stepped slowly towards the breathing mass. From his pocket, he withdrew a yellow pencil, then reached out to poke the creature with it.
The point stuck to the cheese as if it were super glue. Mike pulled and pulled, but the pencil wasn't coming out, and rather started to sink slowly into the pizza creature. Todd shoved Mike aside and grabbed the pencil with both hands.
I'll show you how it's done, tough guy.
Todd, don't, said Riley from my side, but Todd heeded no warning. As the pencil sank into the pizza, so did his hands, and then he was stuck.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
And the pizza was.
And the pizza was alive.
And then the pencil, and then he was stuck. What are you looking at? See, Todd, as he turned to us for help. Give me out of this stuff. By that point, he was already up to his elbows in a mass of bubbling, breathing pizza. We grabbed his clothes, his shoulders, around his legs. Todd was sinking faster than the Titanic, and all too soon he was up to his shoulders, frantically writhing in pain, screaming.
It hurts, he shrieked. Ah, it hurts.
Oh, yeah, you can go.
All right. That was the last we heard of Todd because his face was next to go. The stuff enveloped his head with a glorp, and his screams shrank to muffled whispers. By that point, there was nothing we could do. Everyone stood back and watched with horror as Todd's legs slowly disappeared into the mass. And then the room was silent again. We walked back into the living room. Several of our group left immediately. Then it was just me, Riley, Mike, and 2 guys from the senior class. All right, said Mike, turning to us and whispering like he was afraid the pizza might barge into the room at any moment and absorb us all. I need help getting that thing out of my house. His gaze filtered to the kitchen door. Oh man, my parents are gonna freak. So, out of everything to freak out about, it's not a kid getting eaten by a pizza. It's his parents.
I don't know how to feel about this story. I don't know where it's going. It's a ridiculous premise, and I guess I enjoy it in that regard, but nothing else about the setup is ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird. We ate that stuff, said Riley. I can't believe we ate it. Ugh, I don't feel so good.
Then she doubled over and vomited blood all over Mike's living room rug. At least I thought it was blood at first. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was marinara sauce. Dark red, glistening marinara sauce. It dribbled from her chin and leaked out of her nostrils.
Oh, she had a super angry dragon going on.
Yep. Some of it had started to come out of her ears. I pounded her back and she managed to choke out the last of the sauce.
I need to go to the hospital, she said. Sweet baby carrots, everyone who ate that pizza needs to get to the hospital.
What's happening to me? The voice came from behind us. Someone had stumbled in from the back of the house. I recognized him as Derek from my own grade, but only barely. For what landed on the rug before me was hardly what I remembered of Derek. His flesh was yellow and sweaty. It was melting like cheese. Marinara sauce oozed from his mouth, his eyes, his nose. Pepperonis and mushrooms had sprouted along his arms and face. His hair began to fall out. One of his eyes seemed to be melting farther down on his face. He was becoming the pizza.
Kill me, he wheezed, crawling towards us, leaving a trail of his cheesy slime along the floor. Please kill me. We all backed away. I grabbed a fire poker from Mike's fireplace, more than willing to put this thing out of its misery. I stepped forward, looked over my shoulder for approval. Mike nodded. I looked down at the pizza man. I'm sorry, Derek, I said, choking back the tears. We won't remember you this way, I swear. And then I killed him, and then I said, we won't remember him at all. He was pretty unmemorable.
Then I forced the fire poker through the top of his head. Pizza Derek died instantly. I turned to the group. We were silent, all of us. Then a low growl forced our attention back to the kitchen. In a way, this kind of reminds me of Lake Pontchartrain by Ludo.
I think D-Human's assessment that this is like a Goosebumps book is pretty accurate. Who fucking... Oh, man. Transformation fetish now. Yeah. I kind of feel that way.
Rip in pepperonis, Pizza Derek.
A moment of silence for Pizza Derek.
Do you need to go grab some more tea?
No, I need to grab some water.
Do you want to go do that before we continue on?
Yes.
Alright. Momentary water break. Would you mind grabbing me one too?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, fuck me.
Alright. He died for our cheese, says Abysme. Any other fetishes we can shove into this thing, says Prozicor. I don't know. Probably a lot of them. Anything with cheese. I'm not very amusing on my own. You're back.
Okay.
Gracias.
Transformation. He died for our cheese. Okay. Where were we?
Alright. Low growl forced our attention back to the kitchen. Inside, the massive pizza had grown twice its size in only a few minutes. It boiled and bubbled, the cheese tendrils now curled along the floor, attaching themselves to the cabinets and windows. Todd had provided sustenance for much growth, but the creature wanted more. It wanted us, I could feel it. Wasn't there a movie, like, with a very similar... The Blob, maybe?
I think this is straight up the thing.
Oh, no, like, the thing, though, was kind of serious, not...
Oh, no, if you're
the
just...
one...
I mean, this is basically the Blob.
Yeah.
I never know the lyrics to the Blob song, but the Blob song is fucking tits awesome.
I saw the Blob when I was pretty young, so I always assumed that it was just like a delirious fever dream.
That was just your way of explaining your growing feelings for a blob fetish.
Yeah, sure.
Mike burst into the room wielding a flamethrower. Where did you get a Where did you get a flamethrower? Says Hayden, one of our senior guys. Stole it from my dad's gun collection, Mike said. I looked at the weapon. I looked from the weapon to the breathing pizza monster. Mike, what will your parents say?
Forget my parents, said Mike through clenched teeth. That thing killed Todd. And then Mike did the most epic and simultaneously heroic thing I've ever seen anyone do. He pulled the trigger on the flamethrower and unleashed the fury of 1,000 suns onto that giant booger.
Die, you spawn of Satan. Okay, so remember how I said that this is the thing and not the Blob?
Yeah. Yeah.
Flamethrower.
That's the thing. It's just like the image from a pizza turning into a giant blob.
This whole time I've been thinking about the pizza from the new Gorillaz music video, Saturn Bars.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's like it's a Gorillaz music video that's kind of like horror based, and it's a kind of a Rastafarian rap song. It's really cool.
All right.
And there's talking pizza in it. But I had some incisive thing to say. Oh, remember that time that our friend Seth made a flamethrower?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then the police
And then
took
he
the
got arrested.
And then the
Or
police.
no, he didn't get arrested.
He didn't get arrested, but the police took the flamethrower and they're like, "Sir, why do you have a flamethrower at an anime convention?" And he's like, "It's not full, and it's for a costume." And the police are like, "Okay, you weird anime kid."
I remember that. That was great.
Okay.
All right.
A massive fireball swirled around the kitchen. The pizza monster was alight with flames and embers. It writhed and screeched, its cheese tentacles curling back into itself. Mike wouldn't stop. He stood there screaming, frying the monster to kingdom come until the flamethrower was out of juice. The weapon fell through his fingertips and clattered to the floor. Black smoke filled the room. We watched the monster squeal. I know what this is reminding me of.
What's it reminding you
That
of?
episode of Cowboy Bebop.
Never saw it.
Do-
I've seen some episodes. I have not actually watched the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
There was an episode of Cowboy Bebop where there's something that they have like this fridge that's not normally in use, and they forget that it has gross shit in it,
Oh,
and it just like
jeez.
ends up terrifying them. Okay. That's what DB calls as a dick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call my octopus swah.
Yes.
A black smoke filled the room. We watched the monster squeal, trapped inside the fire, blackening in the heat. For a moment, I thought I could see a monstrous face appear in the cheesy mass when it was consumed by yellow flames. The whole kitchen was alight.
We stumbled back into the living room, coughing and hacking our lungs out. Riley held her stomach as she rinsed more marinara sauce, her eyes watering. "We've got to get her to a hospital," I said. "Agreed," said Jeffrey, the other senior. "Do you think that I killed it?" said Mike. "Do you think it's really gone? Should I try killing it again?" "I don't want to find out," I said, because I really didn't. Hayden jolted, stared down at himself, lifted his shirt. Underneath his skin, something was writhing. He started to scream and fell to his knees, and then his stomach exploded and marinara sauce splattered all over us, the walls, the floor, the couches. Something leapt out of his belly. It crawled toward us on all fours, a small yellow demon covered in pepperonis. It was a baby pizza monster.
Oh boy. I really like the thing. I just think it would be better if the alien was pizza, says Prasicor. Man, where was my mind going? Oh, remember that time that I wrote a story that is very similar to the Thing or the Blob kind of deal about called Non-Newtonian Nonsense about the boy that burns down his school?
Yes.
I was really proud of that story.
That was a good story.
Go check out Non-Newtonian Nonsense.
Yes.
Here on the official Dead Palette internet channel of YouTube.
Of Dead Palette.
.com/MySpace.
.com/MySpace/Dead Palette.
Jeffrey shrieked and crushed Hayden's pizza progeny with his heel. When he lifted his foot, strings of cheese stuck to the underside of his shoe. Riley, Mike, Jeffrey, and I abducted Hayden's dead body and raced to the front door. We tripped through the lawn and piled into the red Chevy Cruze, hardly noticing the pillar of smoke billowing from the kitchen window. I turned the key and slammed the accelerator. Riley was riding shotgun. Mike and Jeffrey were in the back. And this is how we roll.
Yes.
Chestburster Pizza Monster. Is this Spaceballs? I haven't seen Spaceballs since I was so little that I don't remember anything about Spaceballs.
This story is basically 20 28 days after the alien blob thing. Yeah.
Not sure. I'm not sure.
Anyway. Drive, roared Mike. I am driving, I yelled back because I was doing about 30 over the speed limit in a 50-mile-per-hour zone. Behind me there was a small yelp. I took a second to glance over my shoulder. The small bit of cheese stuck to the underside of Jeffrey's shoe was spreading like a virus up to the shin of his pant leg. Small, stringy snakes worming their way upward. Get it off, screamed Jeffrey. Get it off of me!
Mike leaned across him and opened up the car door. He then pressed a foot against Jeffrey and kicked him out of the vehicle. Jeffrey fell straight into the pavement, whizzing by an 80-mile-an-hour. Fell straight onto the pavement, whizzing by at 80 miles an hour. In the rearview mirror, I watched the car behind us swerve to avoid him. It didn't. What did you do that for? Shrieked Riley. It was the only way, breathed Mike, slamming the car door shut. He was going to infect us all. The three of us rode in silence as I kicked the cruise up to 90 miles per hour. It was a miracle no cop came after us. We were almost at the hospital when I said, "Which of us ate that pizza?"
I didn't, said Mike. I ate before the party. Me too, I said. We looked to Riley, marinara sauce dribbling from her lips. Outside the hospital, I came to a screeching halt. Mike and I raced to Riley's door and dragged her out, throwing our arms over our shoulders like a wounded combat veteran. Her body began to hitch. Marinara sauce spilled from her mouth. Her nose, her ears, the corners of her eyes. It came out her fingernails. She's choking on it, I said as we rushed through the automatic doors into the lobby of the emergency room. It's over, Mike. She's choking on it.
Gotta intubate. Gotta take her to house.
Yep.
Riley fell from our arms right there in the emergency room. Marinara sauce boiled up from her throat and out of her mouth like a volcano. She was still there, her eyes half open, staring up at us.
In the following days, I drove by Mike's house maybe once. I've been trying to avoid it. The memories of that awful massacre haunted me not only in my nightmares, but in every waking moment of the day. I couldn't stop picturing Derek crawling towards me. Kill me. Kill me, please.
Man, I do love that part when they find that one guy out in the snow in the thing.
Yeah.
And like light him on fire and he makes that horrific scream. Oh my god, it's so fucked up.
That was really good.
Tormental. Then anchovies swam up my urethra. Don't you mean like out her urethra? I don't know.
Sad face pizza Derek.
Oh boy. Coming home from a late night shift at work, I took a detour through Mike's neighborhood. His house was surrounded by cop cars. Caution tape was strung everywhere. The windows were all busted out, and monstrous amounts of cheese had crawled out from them. The entire house, what was left of the charred, blackened frame, was coated in pizza. Cheese tendrils had snaked across the lawn. Even at night, I thought I could see it breathing.
The next time I drove by was a day later, just to see how much the monster had grown. But it was gone, along with Mike's house and the cop cars and caution tape. There were no newspaper articles, no TV stories, no YouTube footage, and I would come to find in the following weeks no Silly's pizza. It was as if someone had covered it up and erased every shred of evidence there had ever been such an attack. They did a good job, I'll have to admit, but they missed one thing. I still knew. I still remembered, and I'd never forget. Rip Pizza Derek. Mike disappeared after that. I don't know what happened to him or his folks, but Mike, wherever you are, I hope you're okay. Every Friday night, I go to Burger Queen and order my number 12. I do this in memory of Todd, of Hayden, of Jeffrey, of Riley. And as I drive home, I think I could even get used to these weekly double bacon burgers. But mark my words, I'll never eat pizza again.
So that's bizarre because they really tried to develop horror, and they did it in a straight. They made fun of it by making it pizza in a straight faced way.
Yeah, it's a really weird contrast.
Um,
It makes it, for me, not scary and not really all that funny.
yeah, it's
It's just a weird mashup.
like I feel like if you were going to do a kind of troll pasta thing, then you've got to use those tricks, and it's not using those tricks. I don't know how to, it's like it's kind of my problem with kitschy stories
Mm.
is like right here of just like this effort could have been better put to making a story that's a little bit longer, explains itself a little bit better, and then isn't quite so ridiculous.
Right.
But I feel like this is what the author wanted to make, so I don't want to interfere with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they clearly had a vision of this is what they want to do. I'm just not sure that that vision is
It's
being perceived the way that they want it to. I bet people like this story if it has enough of a reputation.
I mean, it's got 43 upvotes.
43 votes.
81% upvoted.
81% upvoted. That's a pretty positive thing for Reddit, I believe. Yeah, it's a very Goosebumps kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see that people in the chat love it. Generific loves it. Abysme loves it. It's probably that it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It's probably not our thing.
I mean, you love pizza. You ate one before we started this.
I did eat pizza before we started. Yeah, that was interesting. Not my thing. Is the pizza Russian? That's a weird question.
How high were you, Jesus Christ?
Well, I just don't know how to feel about the story. Ultimately, I think it was just.
I mean, it's average.
I think ultimately it was just.
It's a Goosebumps story.
I think it was just too cheesy.
Yeah.
I think the story was just too cheesy. Generific, one of the best stories I've read in a while. I thought it was hilarious. It just doesn't tickle my kind of funny bone. Hyperthermal. I love the story. Would love Pizza Derek, Wife Riley, and Coyote Mike. DP, what are your thoughts on this staying on no sleep? What are your thoughts
on this staying on no sleep? Because isn't no sleep supposed to be like scary or something?
Normally they're supposed to be scary. I don't know. No sleep in my experience has been kind of hit or miss. It's got this weird desire to stay true to old school creepypasta kind of stuff, keeping up kayfabe, not admitting that your story's fake, but then at the same time,
like you know this isn't going to happen.
They allow, this isn't going to happen. So if you're going to like go through all of that process, and at the end of the day, if you're going to do that, it involves some kind of censorship, and I'm pretty opposed to that. If you're going to have that kind of censorship and that kind of rigorous, hey, this is what our genre is and you can't mess with that, then you have to stay true to that, like very deeply.
Right.
And not judging the story based on that, just judging it as itself, didn't tickle my prostate for sure. But hey, welcome to the internet where stuff is. I'm tired, guys.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you're.
I'm getting delirious.
Yeah.
Gotta wake up with my German Shepherd Hitler dog.
German Shepherd Hitler dog.
German Shepherd Hitler dog. I think we're going.
You gonna call it now?
Think we're gonna log off, guys. It's been a fun stream. Go check out the story I wrote. I enjoyed it, and we're just going to go ahead and play the new video at the end to ride this out. have fun, everyone. Y'all have a good night. Stick around and chat if you want. This is going to go for another 10 minutes without us talking and just playing the video. Bye, everybody. As long as there have been adults to tell children about their regrets, there have been children to not heed their elders' advice. Regret is a... If you haven't read Hands by Unseen Wombat, you can listen to the radio play adaptation here and read along here. This analysis video contains spoilers. Furthermore, this video does not have an agenda. My agenda is only furthering the understanding of horror writing. Honestly, as long as there have been humans, there has been regret. As long as there have been adults to tell children about their regrets, there have been children to not heed their elders' advice. Regret is a strong motivator for artists and those seeking to express themselves. Making work about one's regrets, or out of frustration with one's regrets, is an easy way to be both expressive and prescriptive without compromising either. Usually, if an artist is preaching a message, their art is reduced to that message and nothing more, or the message is obfuscated by the descriptive and abstract parts of the art. That's because both political art and expressive art are lies. A lie to convince one of a belief, and a lie to make one feel more human, respectively. But regret is born of a desire to make a more perfect world. It is a sad feeling, and oftentimes a humbling one as well. Regret is such a genuine thing, and those honest intentions come through in such a down-to-earth writing style, as we see with Creepypasta. Hands doesn't tell you to do anything. It doesn't guilt you or shame its readers into a worldview, and its message isn't hard to divine when being analytical about its content. It's not presumptuous propaganda. Our narrator is not only not telling you to do or not do something, but is portraying those that impose those sorts of rules on others as less than moral. The description of a little school in Cleveland, Ohio, paints it like a prison or a sweatshop. He and his friends are captives in a place that only wants to load work upon them. All this narrator wanted at the time was to be worry-free and responsibility-free. The name-dropping of "dare" on his t-shirt isn't meaningless flavor text. While just a brief mention, it's pivotal that this program is brought up. DARE is Drug Abuse Resistance Education, a program that cops teach in public schools. You've probably seen the bumper stickers. Why does this author mention what the acronym stands for? For international readers. This context cannot be missed or skipped over. And while the UK has a DARE program and has since 1995, giant English-speaking countries like India and Australia wouldn't know what DARE is, and wouldn't have had citizens that underwent these programs. DARE has a terrible reputation among those that study the effects of its program in an academic setting, and among those that have been a part of them, such as myself. It doesn't take much research to find out about America's failed drug war, and what part DARE has played in that war. The DARE program is consistent with the zero-tolerance orthodoxy of current U.S. drug control policy, which on a national level holds that drugs like heroin are on the same register of drugs as cannabis. I'd like to take this time to remind everyone I really do not have an agenda here. Continuing, children can sense bullshit more than adults give them credit for. So if a child is told that cannabis and heroin pose the same sorts of dangers, they'll either see right through this statement or question everything that DARE officers say, including accurate information about hard drugs. Or they'll believe all of it, try cannabis, not die from it, and question everything that they learned in DARE. DARE programs end in a graduation and a pledge. It goes something like this.
take a stand against drug abuse. I know who I am, and I know that I want to stay healthy and happy. I can stand up for myself and stick to my decision to live a drug-free life. I can ask for support from my family, friends, teachers, and even the police. I pledge to say no to offers of drug use and alcohol. I can help others say no to drugs and alcohol. This pledge mixes common sense statements about support and help with a cult-like statement about decisions which are made for you. And let me tell you, it makes students uncomfortable, especially ones that are at a low risk of becoming addicted to illegal drugs. But the oppressive nature of school isn't the only unwanted pressure. Most teens know how full of shit adults can be. It's not a big surprise that those authority figures are assholes from the perspective of whiny teenage boys. The bigger pressure is peer pressure. The pressure from loved ones, friends, from those who never demand you do something in the same way as school or police would. And there is the biggest regret. Not only is our narrator subject to peer pressure, our narrator was peer pressure. This reciprocal peer pressure is why Mike, our victim tormented by the hands, is gone in this story. Not only did his group of friends pressure him into knocking himself out, but when given the chance to be proactive about Mike's fears, the perceived societal expectation that boys don't do sleepovers in high school ensured that Mike would face the dream world of children's hands alone. Those hands keep coming back. He only did our stand-in for drug use once, which is pass out via self-induced hypocamnia with the help of friends. But for whatever reason, he continued to experience vivid hallucinations, eventually ending in his disappearance. The experiences Mike was describing are more in line with the descriptions of psychedelic drugs like LSD, which in rare instances has been known to cause hallucination persisting perception disorder. This is the return of a drug's hallucinogenic features after its user has been drug-free for a long period. The crux of the story, the choking game, was for a time a very hot-button topic. Along with paint huffing, whippets, and cough syrup, the choking game is an idiotic way to get high on a budget. Here's a suggestion. Alcohol is easy to get your hands on, even when you're underage. Just saying. But this method of achieving an extremely short-lived and lackluster euphoria is a cause of regret for many that have witnessed it, if not out of loss, out of embarrassment. For our narrator, the regret is part of a complex survivor's guilt. Him and his friends faced questioning by the police, and the police perceived guilt on the part of these bratty teens, knowing that they knew something. The narrator looks endlessly for reasons why he could have survived. Could it be the injury to his head or the static in the air around the electrical lines? Could it be something that was on the other side, was desperate to pull Mike in, or maybe Mike was more at risk of being taken by some unknown force? All our narrator knows is that this information should be put out there to perhaps prevent another from feeling this kind of regret as well. This story, by not pressuring its readers into a worldview, is ironically more convincing of an anti-drug message than a DARE program ever could be. It's not a cold and heartless advertisement for a lifestyle, but rather an earnest and practical cautionary tale about how seemingly silly decisions can cause lifelong consequences. Now, I enjoy the rest of this footage, but I've got nothing else to say on the matter, so I'll let this ride out. If you have something to contribute, please leave a comment. And if you would like more content like this, consider subscribing